Can anybody hear me? I can't hear anything. I can't hear.
Because I moved this one, so let's see if it. Can you, is it now? Yes, it's moving when I talk.
Should work. You should hear.
Hopefully you can hear us. Make sure the microphone is still on. I think we got it now. Because it's moving. Can you hear us now?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for being patient. Okay,
May I continue?
you may.
Okay. Application 2184 continuing, no staff, oh, Joe, had staff comments? Thank you. Okay, Mr. Sorry, Joe Ward recommended that we in favor of it. All right, board discussion is now open. Does anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns about item number 1? I absolutely agree. Yeah. Okay, then, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve vendor ID number 1 application 21-84 as submitted. I second.
Go ahead.
I second.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shriver. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against, say nay. All unanimous, 7 ayes in favor of 21-84. It is unanimously approved. Dave, you're now moving on to item number 3. We'll get to number 2. Number 3 is also not a huge item, so hopefully we can get through that. So we have Patricia?
Yes, hello.
If you're talking to it.
Yeah, if you'll just move it down to your, yeah.
There you go.
Might be exciting as your next one. Patricia Carbajal at 921 Tombstone Canyon. And quite simply, we want to erect 2 shade coverings. One is going to be 12 by 17, that's right off of the house. And it'll follow suit with our current veranda style that we have, and it's in the packet. And the second is a 14 by 14, and that'll be out by the back fence, and that go over the barbecue, and that picture of that is also included. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. All right. So, any public comments in favor or against this item? Anybody? Okay, we'll close the public comments. Staff comments? None? All right, board discussion is open.
No question from Mr. Boyd. We have permits on all of the being developed there for, from, DRB. I noticed there's an addition on a shed and it's already, yeah, that was all. Okay. Okay, thank you, we permit.
Any other, questions? No? Nope. Mr. Leffler, you ready? Okay, do we have a motion on application item 23-29?
Sure. The motion is through. Motion in place. Application number 23-29 as submitted.
I'll second that. Okay, seconded by Mr. Leffler. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against, say nay. We have 7 ayes. Your application is unanimously approved. Thank you. Doing a great job on that one.
Yeah, looks great.
Okay, agenda item number 4 is not happening tonight, so we will go right to agenda item number 2. Application 23-27, 100 Crofton Avenue, the old high school. Okay. So we're gonna have the application representative come up and present their case, and then we'll have a few words from our vice chair.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the Design Review Board. I'm here to talk about the speculative project, the Old Bisbee High Lot proposed for the Old Bisbee High School. My name is Savannah McDonald. I'm with Coaster Merton McDonald Architects working on the project. I'll introduce Joseph here in a second, but to give a little background on myself. I've been with Coaster Merton McDonald for 15 years. I'm a Tucson native, and our specialty is historic preservation and multifamily housing. So it's sort of a perfect fit and passion for us as a project, which is why Joseph sought us out to work on the RFP for him about a year ago, and we've been working on it. My firm has done a lot of very specific and prominent and iconic historic buildings in Southern Arizona, many on the University of Arizona campus. And I personally worked on many buildings, historic landmark buildings that are retrofitted or adaptively reused housing, including the Adobe Merritt College in downtown Tucson, as well as the University of Montclair. So I have a lot of experience, I have a lot of passion, and I just want to take a step back for a moment too, because I know there's a perception that we are destroying some of the architectural features, the character defining detailing of the building because of, I guess, preliminary drawings that have been moved around amongst groups. And I just want to say that's not the case. I love this building. I care about this building. I crawled around in it, measured every window, every beam, and I love it as much as the neighborhood. I understand it's important. I understand that it's part of the history, part of the identity of Bisbee, and I, as much as you, want to preserve these really important features of the building, making it a part of the community, making it a really prominent resource, but also trying to bring life to it, right? Bring housing to it, find a use that's compatible, that's reverent, and retrofit it in such a way that's as minimal as possible, maintaining and highlighting the prominent architectural significance of the building, but doing the minor moves with your support, with your help, with your feedback, in order to make it compatible for the housing fit out. So on that note, I'll introduce Joseph Lewis, the property owner and developer, for a quick intro.
Just want to introduce myself. I'll be available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm a plan review subcommittee member and commission member of the Historic Commission for Tucson-Pima County. So I understand and respect and appreciate what you do. So thank you for hearing about our project, for reviewing our project. Know that we're not done with the project. This is part of our process. This is part of our, wanting to gather input and feedback and make it the best possible project for all of us, right? Especially for you and the community. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm happy to answer any questions, address any concerns, and be available.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Donald. We will be moving on, our vice chair has just a few words that he wants to say before we move on to public comment.
It's addressed to everybody, not just you, but I know there's some of you that understand, but for the record, we are receiving a lot of requests from citizens for this board to regulate building use, parking numbers, economics, the ability of applicants to finish project, considerations of applicants' past projects, but none of these are in the purview of the design review board. Conversely, many applicants want us to hear considerations about economics, quality of life, spatial requirements, etc. I'm aware of the importance of programmatics and the desire to maximize monetization of real estate investment, but these are also not issues the design review board considers in reviewing the application. What DRB does take into consideration are the development standards for the Bisbee Historic District and the Secretary of Interior standards for treatment of historic properties. The other item is the drawings are part of an approval process that the drawings you've seen, and I've heard that people think that and this is kind of a community. People have thought there's an implied removal of cartouches, columns, capitals, bases, portholes, the dentals, because they weren't added into the drawings apparently, the drawings are very tiny, so it's hard to tell, but that's the take I get, and I think it confused a lot of people. What I do think is that, whatever gets approved should be illustrated the way that it is to reassure the public, you can see that it's important issue. And so if, we can get that at some point as part of the approval process, I think that would be important to our approval. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Before we start the public hearing, because we have a lot of people here today, we're going to limit the 3 minutes to 2 minutes so that we give everybody a chance to speak who wants to speak. And I encourage everyone to be courteous and patient because, we're all in it together and we're trying to figure this out together. That said, I have a list here of people that signed up to speak. And go ahead, Nina.
If we can make sure that we speak into the microphone, the sound's a little muffled, so if you'll just make sure, if the board talks, if you put the microphone in front of you
Okay.
to speak, and don't forget to open the public hearing.
Okay, so opening the public hearing, I'm going to call people out that have signed up to speak, and at the end, if there's anyone else, I will encourage you to come up and speak as well. So starting with Al Anderson. Good evening.
I am Al Anderson from Old Bisbee. Thank you for the opportunity of sharing my experiences on similar projects and hearing my opinions on this particular project. I met Joseph Lewis and became friends about 4 years ago. Since then, we've had many long conversations about why we both moved to Bisbee. I found that he shared my appreciation for old historic buildings and also was drawn to Bisbee because of them. Joseph Lewis has since purchased his share of them here in Bisbee and many more elsewhere in Arizona. I learned that he is a fifth-generation Arizona whose family name, Orem, is associated with many historic landmarks throughout the state. I think there's an Orem Dam, and school, and on and on and on. The buildings and projects that he has been involved in shows that he puts great effort and spares no expense in making sure to do projects correctly and to protect the historic integrity and values. I learned some important lessons in my 24-year career as a general manager of a general contracting business who completed many millions dollars worth of historic building refurbishing projects for the Air Force, the National Park Service in Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Utah, and Oklahoma, and for the U.S. Army, including 2 mansions in Fort Huachuca at the General's Quarters 1 and General's Quarters 2 that date back to 1877. Those 2 projects were monitored from the very start to the finish by the Arizona State Historic Preservation Office in Phoenix. Our National Park Service projects were supervised by their own preservation officers. What I learned when doing all this work is the first order of business is to hire an architectural and engineering firm that has extensive experience in completing historic preservation work. Joseph Lewis has done that for this project by hiring PMM. I looked at their project portfolio and I am confident they have what it takes, and they bring to this project more experience and expertise than everyone in this room combined, including myself. They produce a notice of public hearing sheet of paper that shows 2 pictures of the high school. One very old
You have
picture of the
30
building.
seconds left.
What?
You have 30 seconds left.
They produce both of those pictures, and you're supposed to pick out the differences between the 2. And like me, I'm sure a lot of you pick out the differences that you don't like that would not make the building look historic. But for me, I could brush aside all my concerns about the final design. What's more important to me is to how this project will benefit Old Bisbee. It has gotten so that only millionaires can afford to buy even yet homes in Old Bisbee. I'm hoping that this project will change that. I can't help think that
Your
these
time is up.
39 partners will hit the market.
Yeah.
I only have 1 more second.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I'm hoping this project will change that. I can't help but think that when these 39 apartments hit the market, they will make a make a wake-up call to our escalating home and rental prices and for our county assessor's office in them constantly raising our property taxes. Hopefully this project will help change it. So non-millionaires can again afford to live in Old Bisbee and the constant escalating property taxes for existing homeowners for too long to live.
Okay, our next speaker is Jesus Ruiz. Welcome. We have 2 minutes, Mr. Ruiz.
Okay, I'll try to make this short. Most of it is just, the controversy that surrounds us, where people really don't understand what's going on. You read what you guys are all about, what you guys are supposed to be. And my friend there on the end, right here, he violated that. Okay, he made it personal with me. And he's been spreading untruths and lies throughout the community. He was telling me the last time we had contact, how Joseph Lewis does not pay anybody. That he's run out on people paying his bills. And the last comment that you made towards me was that I should stick playing music and what I don't, and what I know. I'm working for the man for 8 years. He has never, ever missed out on a paycheck.
Let's keep the conversation about the actual project.
Okay. So now the project I'm on the ground level of it. I think it's great. Here's a company that is willing to come in and refurbish that entire high school. It's a 100-year-old building. You guys were in there. I showed you what it takes and what it's going to be. This is the first phase. This is the demolition phase. That's what people don't understand. Not running out of money. Just we're waiting. We're waiting on you guys to give us that go ahead. Is what it is. Project will be great. I mean, I've been in the area since '77, so I've seen the ebb and flow of business. So for you guys,
We have 30 seconds left.
for some of you to turn this person against me, and against Joseph, it's not cool. This is business. This is. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus.
I need to reply.
No.
There's no
This is
replying
public
to that.
Well, he's off base, but okay.
Okay, our next public comments come from Tracy Steele. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having an open platform for people to express their views here. I really appreciate it. I live in Old Bisbee on Upper Drive. I purchased my house in 1999. I've been in town since the mid-90s. Like a lot of people in this room, I love Bisbee. But with high school was one of the things that was very, I was bring to the visitor, fun to see it. And I still intend to do that. So my understanding is that after the county offices and library vacated the building, the county developed an RFP that was aimed towards, so the county was angling, wanting to attract knowledgeable developers with experience in property redevelopment, adaptive reuse of important properties and support preservation. David's objectives as well as included beneficial redevelopment, time education, financial return, and architectural preservation. The RFPs were evaluated on completeness of the proposal, expected quality of the proposed work, the community value, and respondent experience. Professionally, I am an occupational therapist. I have spent 12 to 15 years primarily working with people who are geriatric and rehabilitative.
You have 30 seconds.
My self-love is risky. When I get older and I can't climb my 88 stairs, I hope that the project like this available to me. I understand that there is an elevator, and I think it's a wonderful thing for our community.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, our next public speaker is Renee Rickson. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Renee Woodson, and I live at 54 Angels, which is right below the project, or part of my property is right below the project. And I'm not here to argue either for or against it. All I want to do, because of the controversies that seem to be boiling up, is look at ways to increase transparency And I think you guys, as a design review board, can help. One thing I was thinking, maybe on your website, or, you know, where, somewhere on, the city website, having a link to the plans that you guys have, so that we can just quickly look over and see exactly what's going on without having all this stuff, you know, being told to us by whispers and innuendos. And another thing I was thinking, especially for this project, because of what happened with the chocolate house, is that maybe having a specific liaison with you guys that would work, be the community liaison with these people. And that you guys could help out and make sure everything is being done correctly and report out, you know, in your agenda.
You have 30 seconds.
Okay, so we can look at the minutes and see exactly what you guys are working on and how it helps with this project. All I want is more transparency. Okay, so that's it. I'm done.
Okay. I know all of this stuff is on the city website, correct, and minutes and the minutes from the meeting.
Correct.
Yeah, there is no access to the minutes of these meetings.
Yeah.
You should respond during the public hearing. It's just for their comment.
Okay, moving along to Alicia Espiritu. Welcome, Alicia.
Well, I'm in support of this. I think this is a great project to come into this state, and the team is running it, reviewing the companies and individuals involved. And so I have great confidence that they'll be able to complete it and take into account our needs as a historic district. I echo the views about having the public have more transparency into the design plan. I had trouble finding it. First page of Google wasn't there. The plans, the meeting minutes are on the existing. It's just not the plans. So this copy back here on the left table. This is the first one seen. So I think that will help, you know, get rid of the unknowns and the standards.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Tom Slusser.
Good evening, everyone. I live at 60 Opera, done a few homes in town. I've done a few homes in town, contractor. And I just want to say thanks to taking on this project. It's a major project. I do have one question, is air handlers, what are you gonna do? Is it individual room? Are they gonna be no windows? Are they gonna be
You
centralized?
You can't ask questions.
Oh, I can't. Okay, I thought they were there to answer questions they said earlier that they had. Okay, because that would be a concern if they have individual units sticking out of each window for each unit or something like that. And let's see, I'm interested in the parking, but I guess the parking isn't being decided here. And hopefully that's open somewhere else for a public forum. Okay. And just like with a couple of the other things, if there's any questions on clarity on what exactly is going to be done, obviously there's been some questions because of this. I'm just thinking that until all of them are answered completely, it's such a historic property that you should make sure that everyone is on the same page 100% before you move forward. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I believe that we have a couple of letters to read into the public record.
Yeah. This is from Ralph Peterson. He was a member of the Bisbee High School class of 1955. That was one of the last classes to attend all 4 years of high school education in the old Bisbee High School building. The exterior architecture of the old Bisbee High School building should be preserved for its historic value. I object to the proposed construction of 2 structures attached to the north wall of the old high school building, extending towards Clawson Avenue as proposed. They are not compatible with the historic exterior architecture of the old high school building. Then I have one more to read. This is a letter that was sent in from Mr. Reiniger. He states that he opposes the application of architects Poster, Mitra, and McDonald on behalf of owner Joseph Lewis for DRB approval of demolition, renovation, construction, additions, and changes to the exterior finishes to the old Bisbee High School. This letter reflects his findings and concerns that have led to his opposition of this application. Bisbee Historic District criteria for alteration, Secretary of Interior guidelines. The distinguishing original qualities and character of a building, structure, or site and its environment shall not be destroyed. The removal of alteration of any historical or distinctive architectural features should not be avoided when possible. Distinctive stylistic features or examples of skilled craftsmanship which characterize the building, structure, or site shall be treated with sensitivity. Deteriorated architectural features shall be repaired rather than replaced whenever possible. Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation. Rehabilitation requires preservation of the portions of features which convey its historical culture or architectural value. Minimal change to its standards are minimal change to its distinctive materials and features. The historic character of a property must be retained and preserved. The removal of distinctive materials or alteration of features that characterize a property must be avoided. Distinctive materials, features, and finishes and constructive techniques or examples of craftsmanship that characterize the property must be preserved. Deteriorated historic features will be repaired rather than replaced. When the severity of deterioration requires a replacement of distinctive features, the new feature must match the old in design, color, texture, and when possible, material. New additions, exterior alterations, or related new construction must not destroy historic materials, features, and special relationships that characterize the property. He gave point-by-point examples of violations. The north elevation, the main entrance, every rendering of the main entrance shows the column is smooth, sterile, and absent the existing Greco-Roman capital. There is no reference in the keynotes that even mention the columns or the capitals. The renderings show the decorative cornice surrounding most of the building as just a simple line without the dental molding details. A keynote says the cornice will be preserved, but none of the renderings reflect that. In the east elevation keynote, it says that the cornice should be replaced. In most renderings, the parapet over the main entrance is blank with no reference to the incorporated sculpture. A keynote says the parapet will be repaired as recommended. Recommended by whom? The keynote says that the arch window over the entrance will remain for repair/rehab or upgrade. What possible upgrade and who decides? The existing door and frame on the center of the north elevation will be demolished and not replaced. Openings in the exterior will face Boston Avenue, which will be demolished for what appear to be 3 new windows. The windows there and elsewhere will be aluminum clad. The west elevation. Lower door on rear wall will be demolished and not replaced. Upper center door, landing, and stairway will be demolished and not replaced. Openings in the exterior wall to the right of the gymnasium entrance facing Mayfield will be demolished for what appears to be 7 new windows. Mid-level cornice on right side to be possibly terminated with sheet metal. East elevation, lower door toward rear to be demolished and not replaced. Existing cornice to be rehabbed and replaced. Who decides? South elevation. Openings in the exterior wall will be demolished for what appear to be 9 new windows. His conclusion is the owner's architects have submitted an application that is both vague and reveals violations of the zoning code. It should be denied by DRB or at a minimum mandated to strictly comply with all zoning codes and DRB refusal to approve any and all modifications to architectural features as identified by DRB and the building inspectors. With written orders in coordination with the building department to arrange for close and ongoing inspection of construction at every step and significant fines and penalties for violations. If the owner and his architects contend that I have misinterpreted their application and they never had any intention to alter or modify any architectural feature let them prove their claim. If the board decides to approve the application with modifications or limits, I urge you to take the application at their word and put every directive and order in very specific written terms. It would be a tragedy if a miscommunication or misunderstanding such as recently occurred with the former chocolate shop on Tombstone Canyon took place, where irreparable demolition and destruction was done to the historic structure, a structure 1,000 times less significant than our cherished Old Bisbee High School. Thank you for his consideration, Mr. Reiniger.
Okay, in addition to the comments that we've received and the 2 letters read, we also have one supplemental letter regarding light pollution code representative of application, one supplemental letter regarding letter to editor, representative of application, one letter of support, one letter of support with condition, and then 16 letters in opposition. These are all being entered into the public record. We don't really have time to read them all tonight, obviously. But they have been read by the board and they will be entered into the public record. Okay, and then Mr. Reiniger's letter has been that. Okay, is there anyone else who wants to speak? Okay. All right, and the woman in the back is coming up. You have 2 minutes.
That's fine, it's gonna take less than that. I really wasn't planning on talking.
If you could state your name, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry,
For the record.
Pamela Brown, Browne. This is informative, this is wonderful. The pictures were informative, what Brown said was informative, it's great. I highly respect the having these instances removed, mainly because that would take away our, believe it or not, status, which is silly, but at the same time, it's not. It's a part of the tours of Disney. It's always said when they go by there. If they're not there, then, you know, and I don't really, I think it would be important to find out exactly why they're removing those ecosystems.
Thank you. I believe we have one more person. All right, come on up. You have 2 minutes. And if you could state your name, please.
Hi, I'm Bill Bailey. I live at 27 Clausen. I've had a house in Bisbee for 35 years and lived here for the last 12. I wrote a letter to Nina as well, and I'd just like to read you some of the highlights. This proposal for the renovation of the Old Bisbee High School is being brought to us by the same developer who bought the Naco Golf Course. And I'm going to be brutally honest with you. He has rented it there and now has it up for sale. How can we
Okay,
be sure?
Mr. Bailey, we don't want to talk about other projects. You want to switch to the project at hand.
I will get to this point. How can we be sure he will even finish this proposal? We have no guarantee. This is the response by Nina. We have no guarantee that any applicant will finish their proposal. It is up to the individual applicant to follow through with what they are wanting to do. Please note that the design review board's approval is only good for 1 year. I was kind of amazed to hear that, and other people said, really? If they fail to finish or start, they will not be able to do anything until they go before the board once again. And that response was from that. The second point is the new sidewalk along the north side is infringing on the width of the street, which is already very narrow. And Nina states the sidewalks are not in purview of the design review board.
That is correct.
But I'm a contractor, and if you look, they did a survey, and they have survey markers in the street.
You have 30
And-
seconds.
Pardon me?
You have 30 seconds.
And where they put those survey markers, it looks like it's going to encroach about 1.5 to 2 feet into the street. The third thing I have is, I wonder when the HVAC, the heating and cooling systems are installed, I fear we will have a common mini split device hanging off each apartment window, which is not historic or attractive. So, in conclusion, like I say, I certainly see many details in the plans that, once these plans are
Your
approved,
time is up.
still, there will be many issues that come up that are not currently addressed, and we will have to be, and will have to be the even complete project. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if there are no other close the public hearing and, open this up to staff comments. Mr. Ward?
Recycling and then repurposing the building is appropriate, whether it's that proposed or not, if you guys approve.
Joe, if you could speak into the microphone a little bit more.
Okay. The proposed exterior alterations don't seem to be inappropriate. How's the building gonna be safe if it isn't turned into residential? But it's something that it's we should.
They can't hear you.
If you could speak into the microphone, maybe we can raise it up.
Yeah, raise it up a little bit more.
Yeah, anyway. This is a tough one. I don't think the changes, looking at it, doesn't seem to be inappropriate for the historic district, the new windows and such. That the project has to be profitable and has to have, as many units as they're able to economically fit in, or, fit in them reasonable way. And I don't think it's any good solution.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ward. Okay, moving on now to board discussion, so there are no more public comments, and the comments the board is now going to discuss. It's open now for it. Yeah, Mr. Taylor.
The high school building is.
If you'll speak into the microphone.
The high school building is considered for a designated contributing significant structure. In law regulating historic districts in the United States, contributing property is any building which adds to the historical integrity or architectural qualities that make the historic district significant. The Secretary of Interior standards give us 4 treatments for historic properties: preservation, rehabilitation, restoration, and reconstruction. Classified as a significant structure puts the building in the category above even contributing structures, which we have quite a few of in Bisbee. It's my opinion that the significance of the building to the historic district requires the project to be viewed as a preservation. Quoting from the Secretary of Interior standards, preservation is defined as an act or process of applying measures necessary to sustain existing form, integrity, and materials of a historic property. Work including preliminary measures to protect and stabilize the property generally focuses on the ongoing maintenance and repair of historic materials and features rather than extensive replacement and reconstruction. The limited and sensitive upgrading of mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems and other code required work to make properties functional is appropriate with a preservation project. However, new exterior additions are not within the scope of this treatment. The standards for preservation require retention of the greatest amount of historic fabric along with the building's historic form. Changes to the exterior, such as demolition of portions of the facade to create 22 new doors and window openings. Most of the windows are out of scale with the rest of the existing and of different appearance and materials. The installation of exterior balconies, the extended stair tower and roof deck, and the demolition removal of top skylights, rooftop skylights. Bisbee is a hill town and has a history of important roofscapes. The high school is a very prominent part of that. And it appears that some of the demo has already begun without permission, perhaps. I don't know that for certain, but I have seen that some of the demo has begun. And these exterior demo, interior is not our purview, and it needs to be restored and replaced. So these are all in opposition to the Secretary's Interior standards for preservation, and that is my contention that this should be treated as a preservation project.
Mr. Taylor, can you be more specific about which exterior components have been done?
At least 2 skylights that I have seen, and some of the existing windows, which are steel windows and fairly irreplaceable. They may have been removed in order to remove interior demo. I haven't heard that, so I'm just going by what I've seen.
So we can ask, questions of Ms. McDonald about the skylights and perhaps the windows at this time?
Okay, yeah, regarding the windows, they were removed for demolition to facilitate removal of interior material, but they were salvaged for reinstallation. And then with regard to the skylights, they are leaking and in very poor condition and also not structurally adequate, according to our inspector. So we were removing some of them. We want to keep and restore the one right at the center that's in the corridor for everyone to enjoy, on the third level. So that is our aim, to take the time and energy to completely restore the central one, the large one.
So one of the, new recommended features that I find a little bit problematic of balconies, I believe there are two.
Yeah, so if you have the plans in front of you, there are 2 units within the gym space that face north. We feel very, that the gym space is really important. We are trying to maintain the stage, the proscenium arch and everything, so that, that can be maintained as a use to the residents and the greater community, as a gallery, as a community space, as a performance space. So the 2 units that are on the gym floor that face north are really small. And there's currently a door facing north with a landing and an egress there. So we are proposing keeping that door and extending the landing to be about 8 foot out of each one unit there. And then repeating it right next to it, just for, kind of evening things out a little bit and making sure everyone has adequate square footage for each unit.
I have a question about the new windows going in there. I know the school does have a lot of different sized windows, but they really seem out of scale with what is existing. And the aluminum clad, I know there are wood windows and metal windows in the school, but it just seems like a very often, and I wonder what the mindset is.
Sure, yeah, I can address that. And actually for adaptive, we use the rehabilitation standards from the Interior Secretary. So the important point there is to distinguish the new from the old so that there's not confusion about what's original and what's new, because the original is supposed to be a common feature. We chose aluminum clad wood. There is every type of window in this project. There's wood awning, there's steel casement, there's all the wood ones that are existing are original. The steel ones came in later as sort of retrofit, I think especially on the south and the east where they degraded after many years. So we're dealing with a lot. We are rehabbing all of those windows that are existing, but there are certain portions of the building, especially the gym floor, where there are no windows. And so only in those areas are we proposing windows. They're divided light, they are awning windows, they are aluminum clad wood, they're distinctly new, but in my mind, or in my intent, was to make them compatible in terms of the proportions, the divided light, and the operation, and then lining them all up in a very similar way.
I'm familiar with the concept of using a different material, but it just seems like maybe this doesn't push it that far, that it looks somewhat like it's from the old, but it's not telling you it's brand new. It's just another item, and that's my personal opinion, but it just looks like another item to me.
I have a question for you, Doug. I don't know if this might work. But which windows specifically are you saying are out of scale? Because to me, they all look generally the same scale.
Well, on the north elevation, looks like there are 6 windows and 2 doors and I totally understand the concept of getting light into the building. But those windows, there are small windows at the top, but those windows are not out of sync to me with what's existing there.
Is it because they're
they're out of scale with the I think they're out of scale with the industrial look of the metal windows. On the west elevation, there are, I think the windows, it looks like somewhat that the windows are the same size. I didn't measure them, but they look like they're the same size as the north elevation. And they set up a rhythm that there's no rhythm with the existing, but there is a rhythm with the new proposed, although I guess on the third floor there is a rhythm with that. It just strikes me that putting I understand there's probably wood windows on that first floor on the west elevation. Is that the level?
Are you looking at the gym?
Yeah, the side of the gym.
Yeah, those are wood windows, way up the clear story window, and then there's basement level windows.
Yeah, the basement level look like,
Yeah.
like maybe they're wood, and then the fourth level, I guess, according to this, those windows, I think are steel clad.
At the very top,
Yeah,
have to look at the existing elevation.
yeah, thank you.
So the top ones are steel sash, single pane,
Yeah.
and so are the lower ones.
Oh, down, okay. And I know fenestration is really important. And I have to say, I'm just not seeing the rhyme or reason for it here. And it does change the character of the building. The other item that I thought was out of place was the extension of this, I assume it's the stair tower that then brings you out to a roof deck. I get the idea of wanting a roof deck, and that's great, but this building sort of, and I think adaptive reuse is excellent, and I think your firm's excellent, but this building is sort of you get what you pay for. And, you know, I don't know if putting another tower on it, it looks like it's 10 feet, it says here, is the appropriate, and then punching in the door into that is the appropriate way to get to the roof. And maybe we just, you know, I don't know if there's a way to convince me that I have a problem with the fenestration.
Well, can I speak to that a little bit, a little explanation? The existing gym actually doesn't have lateral associated with it in terms of its walls. The north and the south, I asked my structural engineer how much square footage I could basically just choose the wall, and this is the maximum. So I would love to put in bigger windows there. I can't, that's kind of what we get.
Okay.
On the west elevation, I tried to line them up right underneath, the existing windows from the top. Those windows you see on the bottom, you don't see, they're actually in the light well.
Right.
So I tried to line it up, but I made them smaller because we're trying to be a little more modest and respectful and not directly, emulate. The other location where there's no windows is the second level of the east wing facing west. I think it was a kind of a lecture format classroom. There was slate board all across the wall, so there were no windows there. So that's the other location where we're adding windows. And again, I'm just trying to, basically the 3 panes, I'm doing a 2 pane lines up. But I'm happy to hear, you know, recommendations or feedback, or if there's a different way I can do it that's deemed as more compatible. I'm completely open to that, you know, what might be suggested here.
And just as I assumed that those windows were removed in order to get the demo out of there from the interior, I just wanted to clarify because there was a letter that said that you were removing entries, and I didn't see that on here, so I wanted to do it. Okay, so.
There's no entries removed. There's that one hollow metal door down to the basement that, can't get a wheelchair through or proper egress, so that one will be replaced, but I'm doing it with a wood 2-panel, 1 light window, something nice and compatible and consistent with the rest. All the other entry doors are in great shape, actually. They're sheltered, the ones that face north especially. Need a little bit of rehab, need a little bit of refurbishment to the hardware and upgrade to the hardware, but otherwise we're absolutely keeping all those.
So just, excuse me, to clarify, can you assure perhaps public that all street level entries will be preserved, all 4 levels?
Yes, all street level entries will be preserved.
And also just for the interest of, there is a lot of misunderstanding because of the rendering, right? So can you tell us what, architectural features that are not in the rendering that will remain?
Yeah, I mean, so some of the drawings that were circulating were from a year ago, and I was just kind of fitting out the program to see if it was feasible to do in the building. We have since developed, I do the construction documents in 3D, so I've been since developing the model, measuring and getting everything in here. I don't have the dental, molding on the cornice. I don't have, all of the relief features and the capitals of the columns, but rest assured, all of that will be there, and I fully support the recommendations to get those on the drawings and explicitly call them out as preserved.
And what about the gymnasium,
Yeah, it's
lettering on the
actually
site?
kind of like a instat within
Yes.
the architrave, and it's beautiful. It's gonna stay. It'll look like, just like it does now. We're not changing anything for that. Where there are blank walls and we need windows to meet this challenge of fitting in this new use. That's what we're doing. I like the idea of the balconies on the north. I think they're subtle. They're gonna be, in the for the secretary standards, removable and distinct. But we can live without them if they're really deemed offensive. As for the stair tower, we are gonna have units on the flat roof, on the addition to the south, not the original structure, but the one that has the high parapet. We'll have heat pumps or condensing units on that roof. And as it is now, there's no real safe and code compliant way to get access to that. And so a big challenge we've had, and as well as like getting into the attic and the other roofs, the barrel wall roof, and even the fly tower roof, there's no way to get up there and we get access. So this stair that's central to the building that's added is proposed to get more safe, secure, and maintenance space access to those roofs. It's right in the heart of the Z. It has just the most spectacular view, so we thought it would be great if residents could enjoy that as well and turn that small portion. And actually, I was bringing in the railing in from the parapet edge, so it looks, distinctly not original, right? And kind of keep it to a really minimal footprint to get residents access up to that roof as well, because it's phenomenal. And in the way that fly tower roof is structured, there's these two enormous trusses, so fitting that stair in is kind of specifically trying to fit between the trusses. But again, I'm trying to hold it in from the original parapet line, so that it doesn't look like it's part of the
And the stored concrete that is featured all around the building, that will also remain.
That will also remain, yeah, the base, the concrete. Yeah.
So, I'd like to, some questions. I don't think you've yet answered that question about, HVAC unit training. My understanding is that all the HVAC units are gonna be on the roof, right?
Yeah, as many as are in that east wing, that's the outside portion of the unit. If you look at the floor plans, you can see the fan coils, are actually, ground mounted, but accessible from the corridor for each unit. So there's nothing on the exterior. And actually, a big advantage of these operable, amazing windows is that that's how we can get fresh air in too, so we don't have to duct in fresh air when it would be required by the tenant. We were able to keep the facade really nice and clean.
So, in fact, I would like to point out that you guys have removed all of the county's window units and are restoring those steel casement windows to a better condition because the county had kind of destroyed those steel casement windows to put in evapes and all sorts of crazy stuff hanging off those windows. So you guys are doing a favor to the building and not replacing those windows, not giving up. development, and probably store all those things out. So that's something I need to note to the public, that you're improving the old windows by taking off the old HVAC. But it was a really good point from the neighbor to ask that question. So, thank you. Another question my neighbor had was sidewalk on Clausen. Is that, my understanding, the old sidewalk is staying in the same place?
Yeah, so I have, a personal preference to make everything completely accessibly compliant. And I, proposed to Joseph this pretty elaborate scheme to get that sidewalk and the entrances all actually compliant, because as it is now, it's not, it kind of cost prohibitive to do that, and it takes up a lot of space to get a compliant ramp in there. So as it is now, we are not touching that sidewalk, and that's what the plans show. We are providing sidewalk down and a fully accessible switchback ramp down to the basement. The basement is meant to be sort of, it was originally the auto shop for the students to learn mechanic skills. It's going to be sort of an amenity clubhouse space for residents, kind of a shared kitchen and fitness area. But the elevator doesn't go to that side of the building, unfortunately. So it was a big priority for us to get, to kind of tear out that vehicular ramp that's really steep and put in a stair and an actual compliant ramp. So that's what you see down there on that side. So that's sort of a big change there, but that was a priority for us to make that space fully accessible. So that was a little bit of a trade-off. I kind of relented and let the north sidewalk be what it is. So we are not making any improvements to that.
Oh,
The property line actually goes out into the street. So if there were markings, that's probably what people were seeing, because that's actually right, what's perceived to be right away, but that is actually
okay, answers that question. Thank you. I have a question that's in that same proximity. It's not necessarily the purview of the board. However, I will note that in 1920, as seen in the photo of the building, cypress trees were planted on the east facade and the north facade, Italian cypress, which are, in my opinion, an architectural element. And I believe it was a huge shock to the immediate neighborhood. And I look at the building every day, I live on the street, that many of those trees were cut down, that a couple things, they reduce noise, they, on the highway, they saturate that noise, habitat, and they don't use additional water because they're already adapted. They've been adapted for 100 years now. There's an cypress in the water. So my question is, are there going to be future landscape changes where future trees are going to be removed?
Yeah, I mean, that's still under development. Our priority for that area to the east is shade for residents, because we're trying to turn it into a place for them to enjoy. The cypress, unfortunately, and many of them were growing into the building, and they actually damaged the cornice, and those are the cornices that need to be repaired and potentially replaced in time in sections because the cypress damaged them. They were also growing into windows, damaging windows. There was a lot going on there. I agree with you. I like the tree too, but it just wasn't. They were kind of at end of life and damaging. As far as what goes back, again, I know we're doing, and we can. Well, I believe we submit landscape plans with the site package, and we'll be able to extensively review those tree selections. I know our landscape architect has made them. She prioritized, like I said, shade trees on the east for enjoyment and use by others. As for the north, I think it's smaller trees, but
I get a couple more things. I think those trees were part of the architecture, and that's why I'm bringing it up. Shade trees are awesome too. Maybe sneak in a few more Italian cypress. Okay, so next thing, the stair tower. So there will be guests and people up there, tenants and stuff up there on the roof enjoying that space, right?
that's the intention.
And so do you think, and I kind of agree with Doug a little bit, it looks a little bit, it's lacking any architectural element. It's just a box. And I would say, you know, maybe in addition of a shade canopy, just like the shade trees up there, as part of the architecture that people can be out there in the summer and enjoy it, I think would make it not look just like a box, but actually have some additional form to it and make it look occupiable. So it doesn't look like people are trespassing on the roof down there, you know.
That's a wonderful idea.
Okay. Yeah, generally, you know, I'm an architect. I've worked on projects this as big as this before I moved to Bisbee, and I would say, more of that, in my view, this is an adaptive reuse project and not necessarily, first and foremost, an adaptive reuse project and not a historic preservation project. Second, because in order to keep this building from becoming abandoned like the one at the hotel, which I'm working on, you have to change the use a lot of things. Not just the economics of it. And in order to do that, you have to adaptively use it. And so with that, the comfort of the residents of the building have to be accommodated. Otherwise, you'll just have people uncomfortable live there for a month, right? So, you know, we have to strike the balance of adaptive reuse and historic preservation, and that means occasionally putting a balcony or putting in some new windows. And that's the nature of the beast. And that said, I feel actually this is extremely sensitive, the architectural elements. My only thing was the roof towers. And all my other comments are related to economics or class war and stuff like that. I'm not going to bring those up. So, right. That's all I got to say.
I have another question. The lighting package is very modern. The lights that were there, I understand there's a dark skies zoning requirement, but there were, I think I can't even remember what those like poles looked like, but they were kind of like fluted ionic.
Yeah. I would love to put those back. Just to match, I saw the photo and got super inspired by it and found a picture that matched it exactly. We are struggling to get any of those in the project. We were showing these little path bollards and all the sidewalks. We were showing those globe lights, putting back some crosses that look like the globe light. And then the parking lot lighting, I'm happy to take suggestions on that when we get to the site review as well. I looked and busy trying to find something, and this is what I found, something that matched this, so that was why I selected that, but I'm open to parking lot lighting. But unfortunately, the code was slashed to such an extent that we can't put any of that back. I was even on these plans showing some facade lighting, some down lighting, and even lighting up the columns to uplight the beautiful columns to highlight the capitals, and none of that is compliant. So I guess what my engineer and what I would like to request is your support in asking for whatever the process is we go through to get back some of those lumens, because basically we're taking up all the lumens that are allotted to us as parking lot lighting and not really allowing much for the building. So I think it's a variance or a appeal or something like that, to buy back some of those lumens just for some of these more architectural lighting features.
So the difference is considerable, right? Like 150,000 compared to 25,000 or something like
Yeah,
that.
it's just, well, so we have dark sky ordinances in 2.2, which I'm a little more familiar with. My engineer is as well. The Cochise County Center is also very consistent with that, which is great. That's a really nice restriction. We just have such a big project, so and we have parking to take care of. So yeah, it went down by 6. Like a sixth of what Cochise County is.
Question on that. Do you need parking lot lighting? Because
We do for safety and security as an
it's a safe neighborhood. Everyone who lives there. They hills have eyes, like. Don't get broken into.
on the building bed.
Yeah, I would prefer that.
Okay. If you're not requiring it, I guess, then that
We're not zoning. so-
I'd rather look at a building.
We're not zoning, so we're gonna. Yeah, we'll leave it to them to decide on that, but.
Yeah.
As far as we're concerned. Yeah, that's what you're recommending. Sounds good.
And you're recommending that the lighting would look more like the there, is that what?
I'm recommending putting back these globe lights for the historic photo at the main northeast entry.
The globe light you put in was not like that. I mean,
The globe light, I
The
think.
globe you put in this,
Oh,
set of drawing,
no, yeah, that is actually,
there's a globe.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
oh,
a work in progress.
okay, well, we have to, at some point, we have to throw a dart at it.
Yeah,
Decide, what's it gonna be? But, I see that you have, the parking lights and the building lights probably won't even, they'll probably blend in, but the others, the bollards and those two, and I think there were two at the gymnasium entrance.
I researched that, I didn't find any photos of it. We saw, cover plates on either side of the door. I think they were sconces, and so my intention was to put a sconce back. That isn't in that style, sort of that
Right,
globe.
right at the sidewalk, there's a wall, and
There's two piers,
Yeah,
but
piers,
do you think that, I mean,
I don't
Yeah.
know, I don't know.
I didn't see any electrics today, so that's why I'm still trying to track that.
And then the other, and I'm sorry, I've been in this position, I hate this, but, put you through the grid here, but, the signage is that monument sign is very simple for what I think of as business signage or
Okay.
business signage. I
Okay.
don't want to try to make it look like, 19 or 15, but this is very,
I hear you. Yeah, if you have examples too.
kind of feel like I don't have this on, but I kind of feel like, I kind of feel like maybe, and this is just my personal, but it feels like there's a drop back strategy and come back with something. I don't know what it feels like, but because I don't have suggestions for you. I have criticism. It's, I'd like to have suggestions, but that's not even really my purview. And I would like to see something. I get what you and Ben have said about adaptive reuse, but I think preservation to me is what a significant structure would require. But I still feel like the building was the building. I think that's what the neighbors are talking about. The trees being removed was already a heartbreak to some. I have to tell you, I've heard this many times.
But it is good to hear that there are reasons. I mean, that, I think it helps people process it, the reasons behind things. I have to commend the many, because I went through this and believe me, for me not being an architect or an engineer, this was a lot, right? But account the things that you're keeping and preserving are considerable, most of it, right? I don't like the balconies. I will say, because they just look like apartment balconies to me. I think the windows, I totally understand, you're gonna have units and you need windows. Maybe there are more of them than are needed. Maybe there are more doors. I don't know. Well, there's two doors that are on the balcony. That might not be needed.
Right.
One that's existing.
One is existing,
One is
I guess I
existing,
could
yeah.
just turn it into, yeah, I mean,
Into windows.
When I was looking at it, some of them, because you have the 2-story loft units, and I grew up in Manhattan, and if you go to buildings in Soho, they're reused warehouses. If you have a loft, you're not looking out of the window parallel to your height. You're looking down into that, you know, and I've seen so many projects like that. And I think it works. You know, it may not be the kind of light. And I did visit the building and it was, mid-afternoon, late mid-afternoon, and it's a dark building. You know, I don't know what to do about that, and you don't want to have, you know, it's sort of, against logic to have lights running in there. But I don't know, I just feel like there's a more, it might be a solution, I'm not gonna say there is, there might be a solution that makes it feel more like the school is, and that, you know, I understand, you know, nobody else, well, they probably other people bid on the school project, but we don't have an ability to complain too much because we didn't make this our project and buy it and do what we wanted to supposedly. But I just think there's something, and to me, the fenestration is the hard part, and I know, you know, you're probably right, it probably needs it, but I just feel like I'd like to see something where more different, if that's even a term, and more of the same, you know, you know, I don't like to criticize you, it's beautiful work and beautiful drawings, but I just like this, I would like to see something that gives it that historic feel. I know that those windows are common now, and we've approved them in buildings, residential buildings, we don't do that. But I just don't, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I just don't see the symbiotic relationship.
Do you have, Mr. Bathurst? Do you have anything to contribute to it?
My concern at this point is that this is what's happening, other, reviews that we've done, but the time we reach a conclusion, we made so many changes that the motion runs through an entire paragraph. This would, what we discussed this afternoon is going to run into the report. I don't feel at all in a position to blessing this project until we have some consensus. I believe that the project, and I've read all the correspondence, it is a worthy project. I think the solution is good and adaptive use or resolution. However, we can't just make a motion and say this looks good, it doesn't look good. We all have issues, we all have small things, and you have to realize that typically the size of the projects that we review are like a porch roof, you know. Last year we had one new residence. This is probably $10–15 million worth of work. I don't think it's fair on the DRB to reach a snap decision in one meeting. I think it has to be a continuing process. So if I were to make a motion, it would be to, either call a special session with our attorney for a few minutes, or just say that we table it, but we'll have more discussions and try and craft a motion that is going to accept. Mr. Taylor has comments. If he does, I'm sure we all do. I had a concern over the heating, and I'm not yet for sure that that's going to work, but we say, well, they're all separate units, one for each apartment, and they're either sided. The condensed units that I were on the ground, that were on the roof. So, that's where I stand. Which is something that.
I think considering the magnitude of this, it is really quite big, you know, for us to decide on a question like this. But perhaps we would need a special question and then reconvene in the next DRB meeting with a decision.
Right, I mean, I'm certain that we can reach a positive decision. but I don't want to vote it down because I've read the correspondence. And a lot of it is just get it done. I think to delay it is a good idea, but at the same time, I don't think we delay it very much, but I do think that, I would like to see the comments of my fellow board members, somehow accommodated, or at least discussed, or at least, given some sort of, coherent motion.
If we could get you to speak in the microphones, I'm sorry. So when Mr. Shriver, when you speak, and Mr. Briggs and Mr. Green, if you'll just put the microphone to your face so that we can hear.
It sounds like we're headed toward something here. I was wanting to get your impression. You've heard a lot of stuff, and you've been very flexible and accommodating to our suggestions and such. But are you thinking that you want to drop back and put a little bit of change into it, or are you thinking this is it, and you guys can go on it based on this?
Excellent question, right? I support and agree with a lot of what you're saying. I feel like some of the things like removing the balconies are not good control. I agree with that, but on the whole, yeah, I mean, I've been through this process before. I appreciate that it's a conversation and we're all open and of course receptive to feedback. I guess I'm curious if you want to see just like watch me or see me add the ornamentation and then submit it back. Like what does that mean in terms of the timeline?
I think
Like it would be a while to model, so.
It would be good for the community to see that.
Absolutely, and actually, if you go to the website and see the rendering that we actually have a consultant do, all the ornamentations on here.
But that's what we have to have sort of as our contract document. The other thing I was wondering if we're going to, if it seems like there was a lack of communication. This project is almost like a city hall or an arena or something where there seems to be, and this isn't any of the applicants' fault and or the citizens, but it seems like the citizens weren't informed well enough on this. That wasn't your job, I'm not, but it seems like there was a lot of understanding perhaps. And I think they probably, and I know you don't want to have really tell you what to do, but they probably like at least have a say, kind of like at the school.
Yeah, I agree. It's a building that's near and dear to the community's heart. So a presentation or something like that probably would have been warranted, and we're welcome thinking for participating not to report something like that.
That may be good before you do any exterior, any kind of drop back. And I know I've been kind of a stickler for this demonstration thing, but I don't even know what the solution is.
I think it's a really, really big project. I think it's a huge decision. I would not be able to make it tonight. I'm most concerned with the historic integrity of the building. I don't think we as a board or your firm or the client is necessarily qualified to help us make a decision. I would like to be a consultation with the historic office before I make a decision. Yeah, they would have to talk to us.
We can't send it. I think you would have to send it and they would do a courtesy review. They won't do it.
I've seen the forms and everything. We're ready to go.
For shit on it.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I'd like to make a motion to table this until we can have some of these answers, brought to us. You've given us a lot of answers, but there's a lot of questions still. And it's gigantic. It's in the middle of Old Bisbee. It's gigantic. There's no way I could make a decision on this tonight.
Mr. Green, before we, go to the motion making stage of the, no, that's okay. Do you have anything that you want to say?
No, I'm very pleased that this is a project that's gonna happen. And, I don't think we want to, I don't think we want to get in the way of making it a non-project and the thing stays the same for another few decades. So, we've got to face the fact that there's going to be things we're not going to like as part of the project, and there's things that all of us are going to like about it. As long as there's more things that we like than we dislike, I think we're doing the right thing. So, the motion is half made. If that is the motion, I'd like to second it.
I actually like the motion to start.
I think Mr. Schreiber had.
Okay, Mr. Schreiber?
No, I'm good with what was said. Initially going over the drawings for several weeks, I was in favor of what I was seeing, but after, listening to Doug and everyone else, looking at it a little differently, I agree with, some of the windows that, could be, altered to look more authentic. And, yes, we need to, table this for now and, go through it.
Okay, so with that said, oh, yes, absolutely. Yes, you may.
It's dead.
Oh,
Anyways, we'll talk now. If I might make a suggestion, I would appreciate that maybe you as a board, because I've heard a lot of this, and I don't know if I was up there, I would know exactly what I would want to do to satisfy you. So if you might, all as a group, not as a group, as an individual, write down your concerns, send them to Nina can forward them, so she has a basis of what each one of you would like to see addressed. Because I heard so many things, I don't know if you know exactly, you feel good about addressing what's
I mean, I
that
didn't take notes, so.
but if you could do that, just write down list and say, well, I don't really like this, maybe do something about the window. Then she can bring back something and say, well, I addressed this, but I didn't address that because I don't think it was. Anyway, then you can actually start narrowing it down to what we do to get to a final.
Yes, so I think that several things need to happen. I think that is a great idea. We do need to do that because we need to give you a clear idea of what to do with Cleveland, right? It needs to be very clear communication. I also agree with what Mr. Briggs said, that we have our historic preservation consultant, SHPO, meet with us over this because it's the most significant thing that we've probably seen before this board in a long time. Yeah. So yes, go ahead.
Ben's an architect, I'm a retired architect, and what we're not wanting to do, and Ben and I in particular, would not want to do, is have you mold your project to the dictates of every whim we have. What we do try to do is by the standards of the Secretary of Interior, that to me would be dictates that should be followed. And writing down, I think the windows should be read. I should be speaking this, but you don't need to hear every little idea that we might have, because it's not fair to you. You're a very successful firm. You're probably the premier firm in Tucson. You don't need to have us steering it.
No, not in that way, but when we do make our decision, it should be clear what we're recommending.
And I do think that having SHPO's say in it would be an education.
Monsoon's coming. Okay, I'm just gonna say, monsoon's coming. there's a lot of windows that were open for demolition, they're still open now. Of course, there's wood, right? Yeah. So I would really like to, because I've been in this position in my project, having a building stay open for years on end while things happen and damage occurring because permits are not given, because of reviews and this and that, and actually the damage is waiting as a board versus allowing the applicant to maybe move forward on some things that the board could fully agree on, like restoring the old windows that are there and maybe closing them up so the floors don't get worked because of the rain. So before we make a motion to table and keep closer to monsoon, I would definitely go no on the table. And I would like to at least allow them to kind of prep for monsoon and maybe start work on some portions of the project that are not complete.
Yeah, so that would include, just to clarify before we make a motion, that would include restoring the windows that exist, right? And replacing glass, et cetera. And it would exclude punching holes, for the new windows until we can approve, you know, something that we feel is historically appropriate, right?
And there's nothing really stopping them from doing anything inside.
Well, that's not.
No,
Exactly.
no, the inside can.
So the inside could proceed.
Yes.
We could move forward with a project and make, leaps and bounds. I live right across the street and I would love to see this thing started sooner the better. Instead of having just a few handymen just be working on this building. There's really no contractor. You're an architect, but there is no contractor, there's no GM, there's nothing happening. Now, that's not our purview, but having windows fixed, I agree 100%. You can start tomorrow on the interior. This building,
Sorry, you cannot start tomorrow. All this has to go through the city, out of the city.
okay, that aside, the building has been gutted. It is useless to anyone moving forward. You can get the necessary permits and start the construction as soon as you can get the permits with a verified construction, with a GM, which we don't have. Nothing's happening.
We'll make a motion that, you know, within our purview. Mr. Leftley, would you like to make the motion and include these things that we've done there?
We'll have a motion in a second. The second will have to come off, and then you can make a new motion. You
Okay,
already have,
we can make one motion and we'll make another motion?
no, you already have a motion on the table.
Already have a motion on the table, so.
I second. I second.
it. So
Remove the second and
I would like to remove the second. May we remove Mr. Schuler the second that you made on the motion?
Mr. Green actually made the motion to the second, so he will have to.
Okay, thank you, and thank you, Mr. Rogers.
Robert rules.
Okay, so. Yeah, Mr. Lefler is going to restate the motion.
Before I make that motion, I would like more conversation.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask Mr. Mayor. If we do not approve the entire project, can it go forward to the next level? I forget the committee we have to go to.
There's a site committee,
Yeah, but there's no.
and then he has to review all the plans and
Well, that-
them all. There has to be, anyway, there's quite a bit yet to go. So, yeah,
But we're really not expediting this by approving a portion.
No.
I'm just saying, we have our portion to deal with our site, parking and
So maybe.
utilities and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then you guys have,
Okay.
what you have.
I thank you.
Yeah.
I don't think by asking for a little more time is holding anything up at all. I mean, if we're holding something up for you, you could tell us immediately, but we're making a lot of assumptions about things being held up We're not here to hold up the project for a year or 2 years. We got one shot, one big beautiful building. We want to do it right, that's all.
Okay,
Well, I can make a motion. You can vote yes or no on it. It's fine. I would like to approve a portion of this project in that the restoration of the exterior windows that are existing and any other historic elements that are existing that are in urgent need of repair. And for the applicant to come back before us with clarifications on all new elements, such as fence and doors and new windows. That's me. I really have to add the consultation with the store society. And adding or when they come back, a consultation with the
I second the motion. All in favor say aye. All against, say nay.
Nay.
Okay, we have 6 ayes and 1 nay on, the motion made by Mr. Lefty, which is a partial approval. It's not a full approval of the project. We're going to revisit this project, in the next DRB meeting, and in the meanwhile, we will be getting a consultation with Shipper, is that correct?
Yeah.
Probably need to.
Well, that's something like
Yeah.
that.
Well, I'll have to contact SHPO to see when they're available.
Okay. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 5. Which is approval of the May 3rd, 2023 Reserve Board regular meeting minutes. And maybe so let me go. Take them. Get off of the way. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
First.
Great. Your gas. That's great. And if you email me, I'll put you.
Okay.
I will be here.
We'll make sure you, I mean, in the morning we get. Yeah. We're gonna go on.
Okay, I think we can continue.
Okay, let's continue with agenda item number 5. With agenda item number 5, approval of the May 3rd, 2023 Design Review Board regular meeting minutes. Do we have a motion? I make a motion to approve. All in favor, say aye. Aye. 7 ayes. Okay, unanimously approved. Agenda item 6. Okay, so review, discussion, and possible approval of the updated design review board application packet. Has everybody had a chance to look through the packet?
Yeah.
Have any comments about the packet? Do you have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the new guideline application. That's good. I'll second.
Okay, motion is seconded by Mr. Shriver. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against, say nay. Okay, we have 7 ayes. The packet is unanimously approved.
That will move next to mayor and council.
Okay, great, thank you, Ina. Staff comment.
In just a minute. Joe, did you have anything?
I keep thinking staff. This is the best place to sit if you.
Okay. Yeah, there goes without saying.
Okay, now.
I have a comment about something.
Okay, so, can any of these things be covered in future agenda item suggestions, which is item 10? Or are they separate things?
Yeah.
Future agenda item suggestions are open. Yes, Mr. Taylor?
I would like.
You want to step up there?
No, yeah, I can do that.
That way,
I have a little preliminary thing that I put together, based on, hello, everyone.
hello.
Based on, thank you. Sometimes I can't remember. Okay, so there have been several things that the high school in Tessa's 525 Tombstone Canyon have had trees cut down. And I've gotten a lot of input from neighbors, and Ben brought it up, and it was quite all the way to do it. I have here a preliminary, and is it okay that I pass it out at this point? It's just
Yes.
Future
It's not on the
discussion.
agenda.
Can't discuss it, but you can.
No,
give it
no,
to
just so that what I would like is for everyone to take it home, and maybe we'll put it on the agenda for next.
For discussion for
Yeah.
next meeting, okay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, John, I didn't know that we had.
I'll make sure he gets a copy of it.
Yeah, thank you.
Just remember tree.
That's, dandelion, yes.
That's right, dandelions.
What did we see
I certainly can. I'll do that. We'll do that tomorrow. I'll make sure everybody has everybody who has a hard copy, I'll make sure everybody else has an electronic copy.
I can send you the PDF.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Taylor, do you have?
I just had a comment only because I was working on the back.
We can't do that on the record. Sorry, you can't.
We can discuss that after.
Okay.
Any other future agenda item suggestions? Anyone? One that you're talking about.
They can put in there to.
Yeah.
Put it, I'm sorry.
We agreed to put in.
Oh, okay. I was like,
discussion of the
what?
agenda. Yeah, yeah. We all agreed with that we like the.
What are you talking about?
And that's, thank you.
There you go.
Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna look at. Signage, temporary
Right.
signage.
I was gonna put it on the next one. I figured this one was gonna be a little too long to do that, so I do apologize that I did not, let you know that prior to.
Oh, I think I did bring it up.
Yes, sir, and I just thought because item 2 was gonna be such a long that we just didn't have time to do the type, but it will be brought back up to the next one.
Okay. Okay, and, do we have a motion to adjourn?
The motion to adjourn.
And we don't, and we have a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. This meeting.
All right, give me 1 second to stop this.
I'm sorry.
Have a good night.